Hey guys, it's Tom M from Tabletop Republic here, and I'm going to go through with you my plan for my newest Commander deck. So with Commander 2020 releasing in about 2 months' time, I'm planning to get the Enhanced Evolution deck with Otrimi as the box commander, but rather than using Otrimi and their mutate ability, I'm going to be using Zaxara, one of these side commanders, who is focused on X cost spells and Hydras. And basically I'm just going to go through with you my plan for the deck. So obviously Zaxara will be the main commander, Zaxara the Exemplary. The main parts of it is that it taps for 2 mana of any one colour, and whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, you create a Hydra with X 1/1 counters on it. Most of the time X costs are Hydras, and so basically you get another Hydra to go with it, which is quite good. Firstly, the cards that I'll be keeping from the Otrimi Enhanced Evolution Precon. In terms of land, Command Tower, basically needed in every non-mono colour deck. Opulent Palace, the 3 colours of the deck. Exotic Orchard, not very good in 1v1, but pretty much certain in a 4-player game that an opponent will have either green, black or blue, unless for some reason everyone's playing Boros. Temple of the False God, just to discount Soul Ring. Myriad Landscape, one of the better basic land sackers. Sunken Hollow is good because it's an island and a swamp in its legal text. And so if you can search for a basic land of 2 types, basic land that shares a land type such as Myriad Landscape, basically you can get Sunken Hollow and another basic land. Then I've got the 3 double lands in there: Simic Growth Chamber, Golgari Rot Farm and Demir Aqueduct. Soaring Seacliff, as it enters, creature gains flying until end of turn. That's going to be very good for flying Hydras. And Mortuary Mire, where when it enters, a creature goes from the graveyard to the top of the library, so I can revive the Hydras that die. Darkwater Catacombs, a good mana fixer if I've got too much green. And Rogue's Passage to make some unblockable Hydras. As for the mana ramp, I've got Soul Ring, because it's Soul Ring. Arcane Signet, the colourful Soul Ring essentially. Manascape Refractor. It copies not only my lands, but all the lands on the battlefield. So if an opponent has much better land choices than I do, I can just copy them. Migration Path is a good basic land searcher, but also it's got the cycling option if it's late game and I don't need any more mana. Fertilid is quite good because it comes in with 1/1 counters for all the effects that involve 1/1 counters, and then it's quite good. It's quite a good basic land searcher, and it can be used for politics because a target player searches their library. Then Animus Awakening is going to be very good. It's going to be basically what I call a mid-game land explosion. Basically double the amount of not even basic lands, I double the amount of lands that I've currently got. Because I've got quite a lot of instants and sorceries in this deck, I get to untap those lands too. In terms of the draw cards that I'm keeping, Lifecrafter's Bestiary. It's a free scry and pretty cheap drawing tactic. Mind Spring, just draw X cards for X and 2 blue. And Beast Whisperer for regular drawing. It's not full creatures in this deck. I've got quite a lot of enchantments, sorceries and instants, but it's still quite a good option. I've got loads of removal in this deck. I feel like I'm going to be one of the main targets when I play this deck. So I've got quite a lot of removal, both targeted and broad. Beast Within, targeted, destroy permanent. Deadly Rollick, one of the new ones from Commander 2020. Basically, it can be a free exile target creature. Croson Grip, artifact or enchantment removal. Putrefy to destroy artifact or creature. And Profane Command. It's got some pretty deadly choices in this. So if it's late game, a player loses I pick 2. Player loses X life, so I could kill someone straight up. Return a creature card with CMC X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Not very good for the Hydras, but quite good for some other creatures. I probably wouldn't pick that option a lot. Target creature gets -X/-X, so quite good destruction option. And up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn, so good to make any creatures on the board I've got unblockable. The protection I've got Find Finality, good creature return, or an option for a board wipe. And Propaganda, just to reduce the amount of tax that'll be coming at me because it's not the quickest deck because you'll need a lot of mana for those big creatures. I've got a few just generic X spells as well. You've got Nissa, Steward of Elements, easy scry option, and free top decking. Not that good for the Hydras, but very good for any other effects. Villainous Wealth is a possible game-winning card. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library, and you may cast any number of non-land cards with the CMC X or less from among them without paying their mana costs. If my opponent had some great cards coming up, then I can easily just remove them from the game with their own cards, which is brilliant. As for the Hydras, I'll be keeping from this deck, and sort of the big X cost, put counters on cards. Capricopian could be hilarious and great for politics. I attack someone with it, they pay 2 mana to change the person that I'm attacking, then the person who I'm attacking now can also pay the cost, and basically I could just waste people's mana, especially if it's a massive creature. Genesis Hydra, basically a Hydra that gives me a free card. Hero's Bane, it basically gets stronger every turn. Just 4 mana and I can double its power every turn. Hungering Hydra can also get pretty strong if it survives each turn. And Vastwood Hydra will be a definite chump blocker. Won't make it a massive creature, but it's a looming threat where I can make my other strongest creature if it dies. Now, the cards I'm adding to the deck. Some of these I have had lying about. Some of these I'm taking from other decks. Some of these I've bought specifically for this deck. In terms of the land, Temple of Milady and Temple of Deceit for the Scry lands. Watery Grave, just to have a bit of a shock land in there. Most of the green mana is just forest, just because really easy to search up. And then for the other sort of blue-black cards, I've just given them extra effects because I won't be using them as much. And then Ancient Ziggurat, tap from any mana, but you can only cast it on creatures spells, which I'll be doing a lot of the time. For the mana ramp side, I'm going to be adding Sultai Banner, just basically a paid Opulent Palace with a draw option. Adding Llanowar Elves, because who doesn't love green mana every turn. Seek the Wild is quite a good start or mid-game mana ramp and creature search, so I don't have to focus on just the mana ramp on that. Wood Elves, it's a creature that comes in with a free untapped forest. Rampant Growth and Circuitous Root are quite good early game basic land searches. I've got Nylea's Intervention, and then Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Amazing mana ramp, and it means I won't have any colour issues with any of the spells I'll be playing. As for the draw cards, I've got Guardian Project I'll be adding, just an EDH staple. Shared Summons, just tutor for 2 Hydras. Diabolic Tutor I've bought for this. Not the best tutor card, but pretty good just to add any card into my hand. And Blue Sun's Zenith I've also bought. It's a more expensive Mind Spring, but it goes straight back into my library, which is very useful. As for removal, I'm going to be adding Twisted Reflection, which is a card I hadn't actually seen before, but it turns out it's in my collection. Death Sprout, good 4 mana, destroy creature, but also search for a basic land. It's an amazing card from War of the Spark. Sultai Charm, I'll be mostly using to destroy the target artifact or enchantment, but if I'm playing against a mono deck, it's going to be very useful. Probably won't be using it for the draw 2 cards and then discard a card unless it's end game and I need to win this turn. Protection I'll be adding, I've got Unhallowed Pact. Not that good with the 0/0 Hydras that come in with counters, because the counters will go, but quite good for the creatures I'll be needing for later effects. And Thassa's Intervention, very good counter spell, or it's got an okay draw power too. I've got a few more X spells in the deck as well, so I'll be adding Icy Blast. I'll always pretty much have a creature with power 4 or greater, so just I can ruin someone's turn and make them easier to kill. Stolen by the Fae, just essentially unsummon with a bunch of tokens. Altered Ego I've recently bought is Spark Double, just comes in with extra counters. Unbound Flourishing is the win con essentially in this deck. If I cast something that contains X, double the value of X, and it copies instants or sorceries if they have X in it as well. That's going to be the main card I'll be tutoring for. Open into Wonder I'll be adding as well. It's just Icy Blast essentially, but with draw power as well. I'm only adding 2 more Hydras to the deck, that being Protean Hydra. It could get stupidly massive, essentially, if it survives but takes damage, it gets double as strong. And Gargos Vicious Watcher. Hydra spells cost 4 less, so all my X spells get 4 free mana, and it's got quite a good removal option wherever I become a target of a spell. It can fight a creature I don't control. Load more 1/1 counter type cards I'll be adding. I've got Forgotten Ancient, just 3 spreadable 1/1 counters. Simic Manipulator could be quite good. Doesn't come in with that many counters, but I could try and add some counters to it, and then tap and remove counters to gain control of a creature. Deep Glow Skate doubles counters on anything that I choose, which could be game winning. It will be amazing. Sapphire Drake will be game winning as well. All my creatures with 1/1 counters on them that I have flying, so I've got flying Hydras again. Vivian Nature's Avenger, quite a good planeswalker option. Vivian's ultimate probably couldn't win me the game, but it could definitely remove someone from it. Herald of Secret Streams is much like Sapphire Drake. Creatures you control with 1/1 counters on them can't be blocked. So who doesn't love unblockable Hydras? And then we've got Corpsejack Menace, where I get double counters every time counters will be placed. Twice that many are. You got Hydra's Growth, which doubles the counters every turn. You got Voral of the Hulklade, which doubles counters. So all them together, just doubling. The amount of 1/1 counters on creatures will be ridiculous. And then I've got Primal Vigor, which is one of the best cards I think I'll be adding to this deck. I've taken this from my Geared token deck because I feel like it's going to be hilarious in this one. Not only does it double the tokens that are put on the battlefield, it doubles the counters again. I'm adding a couple of creature boosts into the deck as well. So I've got Shadow Spear just to give some stuff trample and lifelink, and it can help me remove hexproof or indestructible creatures. I've got Dragon Fangs, which not a lot of people know about, but I feel like is going to be amazing in this. Quite a cheap trample enchantment. And then if it goes in the graveyard, if someone with CMC of 6 or more comes in, it goes from the graveyard, automatically enchanting that creature. And then I'm going to be adding Overwhelming Stampede, which will be a game-winning brute force win. Finally, I'll be adding a couple of untap methods. With Zaxara, it taps for 2 mana. And so there are ways to go infinite and get loads of free mana, or just to give creatures vigilance, so if they attack and tap themselves, I could just untap them to make them block next turn as well. I've got Kiora Behemoth Beckoner, good card draw ability, and I've got up to 7 untaps with it. And then I'll be adding Pemin's Aura and Freed from the Real, which can go infinite with Zaxara. Bought Freed from the Real. I feel like that price is going to go right up, but I managed to get it for only a couple of quid. So if I add 2 blue with Zaxara, spend 1 blue to untap Zaxara, and then every turn I just get another free mana. Then I've got a few cards which I'll maybe be adding. There's quite a few in here that I know I'll try and slip in there somewhere, but the problem is quite a lot of these cards are from other decks that I own, so I need to find replacements in those decks as well. I've got Bloom Tender, which is just a spare card that I recently got. It taps for up to 3 mana, but the problem is I'll be struggling for black permanents. Quite a lot of the black cards that I've got are instant sorceries. One of the few cards that I've got with black mana in its cost is Zaxara itself. I've got Curious Follower, which is a spare card that I had, just another untap. I can only do it once a turn, so probably not the best option, but if I feel like the untap method is my main chance of winning, I'll be adding it. Voracious Hydra, got good option for removal, or I can make a massively strong trample creature. Currently I've got this in my Goreclaw deck, but I could easily remove that to move it somewhere else. Nyx Bloom Ancient is another card which has uses in so many other decks. At the moment it's in my Goreclaw deck, but basically triple mana. I'll need it in this deck because there's no limit on how much mana I can spend on some creatures. Then there's Zamak Guildmage, which is quite an expensive draw option. It costs 2 mana and I have to remove a 1/1 counter from a creature to draw a card. Or for 2 mana, everything comes in with an additional 1/1 counter. It's not the best. It's from a Simic counter deck, but it's on the sideboard of that, so it's not the best option. Then Simic Ascendancy. I mean, this could be a stupidly easy win con. I'm definitely going to be adding it. I just need to see if I can find a replacement for it from a Simic counter deck. Whenever a counter is put on a creature you control, put that many counters on Simic Ascendancy. and if I have 20 or more counters on it, I can win. Not only will I throttle my opponent through massive Hydras, they'll be too focused on that to remember Simic Ascendancy, and that could get to 20 easily. Stone Cold Serpent is another one will be taking out my Simic counter deck. Just a really good Hydra option. It's got Reach and Trample and Protection from Multicoloured. So just 3 really good effects. And then Inspiring Call could be a mass draw solution, similar to some of the blue cards I had earlier, such as Mind Spring and Blue Sun Zenith, but it also gives my creatures indestructible at instant speed. Finally, I've got 5 cards which I sort of removed last minute, decided against. Let me know if you think I should add them back in or swap them around with things, but I feel like it'd be better to have some of the cards I've got in my deck currently than to have these in. Realm Seekers is quite an expensive mana search, and it relies on my opponent having loads of cards in their hand. It costs 6 mana to get out, and then 3 mana to search for a basic land. So Titanic Brawl is quite a cheap removal, but it does rely on having a strong creature. Polucranus Unchained. I didn't even realise I had this card. It is quite a weak Hydra when it comes out. It automatically comes out with 6/1/1 counters, but the escape is pretty cheap. 6 mana and exile 6 cards, not that bad in Commander. And then it comes in with 12 counters. Gelatinous Genesis, I feel like is better suited to more token focused deck, like the Gira deck. There's not a lot of cards which double the tokens apart from Primal Vigor, and so spamming out a bunch of ooze tokens without any extra effect will be better in a different deck, whereas things like Stolen by the Fae, at least I get to unsummon a creature. And then Vraska Regal Gorgon. The +2 makes it harder to block my creatures, but the ultimate takes about 4 turns and relies on having a big graveyard, but it could be a game-winning effect. So yeah, that's my plan for my Zaxara, the Exemplary deck. In there are 34 land, got 21 creatures, 3 planeswalkers, 6 artifacts, 9 enchantments, 15 sorceries and 12 instants. It is quite a lot of sorceries in a creature-based deck, but most of those sorceries are either draw or mana ramp. One card that I completely forgot was in my deck, and I haven't added it to my physical deck, is Casualties of War, just a mass destruction card. I'll probably be taking that out and adding in one of those maybe cards. In the deck, 53% of the mana symbols are green, 29.5% are blue, and 17% are black. Definitely green focused, with only a tiny bit of black, but that's mostly just for the instants and sorceries. This is what the mana curve looks like. Mostly focused on 3-cost spells, but obviously this doesn't include any X costs, so the mana curve is definitely a lot higher. But with all the mana ramp in there, it should be much easier. I've got my deck on Tapped Out, if you want to have a look through, if there's any cards that I've missed out. Also should mention there are 9 forests, 5 islands and 3 swamps in the deck. On Tapped Out, I've got the deck list, shows off how many of each type I've got. In the description of it, I've written down why I've put each card in there, which I've basically just been reading off as the script. And yeah, in about 2 months' time, I'll be building this. I've got a few cards coming from Card Market, and a few cards that I've picked from my own collection, and a few cards that I'll be nicking from some other decks that I need to replace. Let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what commander you're thinking of getting, show off any upgrades you'll be doing to it, and I'll see you soon.